Ladies and gentlemen, we're back again with another Dune Awakening video, and in today's video we're going to be reacting to a huge creator named Syntax, not sure how you say it, but yeah, we're going to be going over this video because he flew all the way over to Norway, I believe it is, where Funcom Studios are, and managed to get hands on the game. We've gone over a lot of Dune content, we've been reacting to a lot of content, and I'm trying to find every single piece of content out there to do with Dune Awakening and bring it to your faces. Now, I do play many video games, you will see a lot of things pop up on my channel if you are subscribed to me or you do have the notification bell on, but I'm going to be going over everything Dune, and when Dune drops, I am going to be the creator that goes over everything and helps you all with everything, and we're going to try and make a massive guild, the Death Squad, that can control Arrakis and the deserts itself. So if you want to be part of that, even if you don't want to do PvP, we'll have our PvPers and our PvEers. We'll all be combined in the same world to help each other out. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. Let's see what we've got. Make sure you go over to the channel. His link is in the description. Like and subscribe. Let's dive in.
Got something pretty cool for you guys here today. We're checking out Dune Awakening, and funny story, this is why I was in Norway recently. Yeah, they flew myself and a bunch of other creators that you might know of out, and we actually got to play this in person. It was really cool, but honestly, it was just a really nice trip as well. The team at Funcom were just super nice, and like they gave us a full tour of the office, and yeah, it was a really great trip, honestly. I'm looking back on it, and I kind of wish that it was longer because we had so much fun. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, I'm going to get to show you just a ton of gameplay from it because on one of the days we got to play for like, I think like 6 or 7 hours or something like that. But yeah, so one thing I will say, I'm not allowed to show you certain things like story elements and stuff like that, so I can't show you any of that, but what I can show you is some of the gameplay. And speaking of, they did provide us with like headset mics and everything, but I kind of just felt like maybe the audio might not be that good on that, so I decided to just unplug that, and I talked to some of the guys beside me in person. But yeah, anyway, so enjoy. I'm gonna have to voice over the rest of this whole video, and I'm still a little bit sick, but yeah, let's get into it. And the first thing that I did, as you can see right here, was create my character, and I tried to make it as close to Syntax as possible, and I think I did a pretty good job. I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna have to skip through the tutorial section because, you know, it's got some story elements in it, and I can't explain to you why there's a crashed ornithopter here. Maybe it was always there, who knows.
Just gonna say, I love the energy of this dude. But the character creation looks quite good, so I'm going to give that a solid, with what I've seen so far, a solid 8 out of 10 as well there, guys. I'm not too sure how many of you like to create your own character, let me know. But me, I definitely do like to put a good 10-15 minutes into my characters to get it right, because at the end of the day, you're going to be seeing it, especially being a third-person perspective game, you're going to be seeing it a hell of a lot, so you might as well make it something that you are definitely interested in seeing, or goofy, or something strange. What are you going to do to your character?
But the one thing I do know is a sandworm is on its way, and as we all know, in the Dune universe, you can't do anything in the sand, in the dunes, without the sandworms coming and ruining the party. They're like ants at a picnic, honestly. Look at that. Those things are so terrifying. And I have to say, while playing this, like, it was very scary crossing even just like small sections, because one thing about this kind of like starting area is that sandworm that you saw there was gigantic, right? That's not even the biggest one that is in the game. They told us the further you go into the game, the bigger those things get, and they are gigantic towards the end. I never even got to see one, and all the sandworms I saw were just massive anyway.
Well, they only got to play 6 to 8 hours from what I've heard from all of the different videos we've reacted to on the channel. So that for me is already a good sign if they haven't seen any of the massive ones. Now, if you haven't seen, they do get given an ornithopter in other creators' videos that I've reacted to, and they were allowed to explore wherever they wanted. I don't think they personally made it across the map to be able to explore the deep deserts enough to be able to see these worms in the time they were given. That's how big I think this game is. So if we look at the likes of Conan Exiles, which is a game that's very similar to this, made by Funcom, that was 54 square kilometers in a video game. That was a really big game, but this game is 500 plus square kilometers. Not only that, the deep deserts, so shout out to you in the comments that did let me know. I did think all of the sands changed every week, but no, the deep deserts, which I don't know how big it is. So if you know how big the deep deserts is, let me know, because the deep desert sands completely change every week. They'll uncover more dungeons, more secrets, more loot areas, more who knows what. but that's going to be changing every single flipping week. So not only have we got the 500 square kilometers, it's going to be constantly changing. Now, the deep desert is PvP, but you don't have to do PvP. We've seen within these videos that obviously it's a very politic heavy game like the world of Dune, but we could be making bikes and selling bikes, become a bike trader, making ornithopters and selling ornithopters, becoming an ornithopter trader, selling building ideas and becoming a real estate agent in a game, for instance. There is so much you can do in this flipping game, and it's completely up to you how you want to go about it. But we're going to have a giant clan, guild, squad that's going to be doing it all together. So yeah, make sure you join that dev squad. The link to the Discord is down below. Come over to the Discord, say you want to join the guild in the Dune section or in the general chat section, whatever's easiest, and then I'll point you to the Dune section. Yeah, come on over to the Discord, links in the description, and continue with the video.
So yeah, starting off the whole actual like survival aspect of this, we basically are just kind of running around looking for some stuff. I didn't really know what I was running into right here, and I accidentally walked into a little enemy camp, and then I realized that they've got guns and I don't, so it wasn't very fair. And I did try to, you know, combat them a little bit. I thought, come on, I should be able to cheese them. I got one killed, and then I think, yeah, I do believe I was like trying to do some like weird like, I don't even know what I was trying to do right there, I'll be honest. Yeah, but they, as you can see, they absolutely ruined me. But yeah, let's just pretend that
you meant to die.
Edit that bit right out. Okay, so after collecting myself and my dignity, I decided to run around and look for some stuff, and we got the opportunity to use the cut array a little bit, which is a tool that you can kind of like scan things with, like rocks, and as you can see here, some scrap, and then you kind of just like laser the weak points, and yeah, it just gives you all those resources. It's pretty cool. So at this stage, I was just looking at my inventory, and then I started getting shot at, which was quite concerning until Axe, who's sitting right beside me, asked, "Oh, is that you?" Yeah, he actually somehow managed to spawn right beside me in the game and everything, and he started a couple minutes before me, so that's why he's got so much gear.
So this is a cool thing to see as well, because all of the last footage that we'd seen previously on this game, I believe someone did mention in the comments that there was a press release, and everyone made it look like it was their own content, their own footage, but it was actually just a set of videos that Dune had released to the press, and they could do what they wanted with them to get it out to the public. And everyone actually kind of had the same footage. The good thing about these creators that actually flew to Norway, the footage is unique. So we will see loads of new elements, and we're seeing that it is unique and real because they're talking about the people that they're playing with. And it doesn't look made up. It does look like they literally have no clue and they're learning on the fly, which is really cool to see.
But yeah, so honestly, I don't even understand how that managed to happen. We're sitting next to each other in assigned seating. It wasn't our choice. And then yeah, boom, we're just like...
So you can trade. We just saw that there. You can invite to party. Pretty cool.
All next to each other. Look at that in the background, by the way. That's a sandworm just barreling across the dunes. I don't even know. It could be going after somebody for all we know. But yeah, super terrifying, honestly. But yeah, so at this point, we just tried to figure out if there's some sort of like guild or something like that. And eventually we got into one together. Skipping ahead a little bit more, I now have some armor and my own gun, and yeah, I tried to stealthily take out this guy that I found inside of a cave, but unfortunately that didn't work out very well for us, but I did manage to take him out in the end though, which was great. Then I went around just stealing a bunch of his stuff, and one really nice thing about this game is when you're around other people and somebody gets to the chest before you, you're still able to go and get the exact same kind of stuff out of it as they did. So
that's pretty cool.
Honestly, it makes it so you don't have to like rush and be like a little loot goblin, which I don't really enjoy in some other games. So after leaving that cave, I managed to find myself a cool looking rock, so I decided to go ahead and use my cut array on it, and it turned out to actually be copper. And then I had some more combat with a couple other locals. One thing to note is that this area is actually a complete PvE area. The actual PvP section of this game happens further on. You can't just PvP in this area, which is definitely going to make it a lot easier for people to just get started, because, you know, you won't have a bunch of people just coming back and griefing your gameplay.
So after just looking at that gunplay that we've seen then, what is your actual thoughts? What would you give the gunplay out of 10 by just watching it? I personally actually really like the way the gunplay is working in the game. I didn't expect much because they haven't really got any gunplay in any other games of theirs. Well, they got the secret world, so that makes sense because the secret world has got gunplay. But it wasn't really that defined. But here, going off of Conan Exiles, which basically is got, or is almost a reskin of Conan Exiles, just completely changed. Would that then be a reskin? Who knows? But what do you actually think of the gunplay? I'm giving it a solid 8 out of 10. The reason I'd give it 8 out of 10 is because of when we look at the likes of Division, I think that has been mastered in third-person gunplay, and the guns are quite spongy here, which
just PvP in this area, which is
yeah,
definitely gonna make it a lot easier.
What's your thoughts?
To get started, because you know you won't have a bunch of people just coming back and griefing your gameplay. So right above that camp that we were at, I managed to find an ornithopter, and yeah, I basically...
Oh wow, you can actually find stuff and cut it open. That's really cool.
You're not ready.
Went through this like full like process of just slowly dissecting it by kind of like removing certain parts. So as you can see, it's just like giving me a different section each time to go ahead and just like basically dismantle, and then yeah, eventually it actually rolled off the cliff when I took enough of it away. But yeah, I don't know, I just found this to be really cool. I don't know, it's just like, it's almost just like it's something there. It could have just been a bunch of scrap, but instead, no, it's a full-on vehicle, and there's multiple different sections to take apart. I don't know, just something about this whole process was really fun.
That's awesome.
Axe is on my left-hand side. Well, Zavi, who's actually an ARC PvPer, was on my right-hand side, and we'd been hanging out like this whole time as well, so yeah.
We're going to need to see Zavi's content, because Zavi is a PvPer of ARC, so no doubt Zavi has been trying to find out the PvP, and we're going to be reacting to that, and it will be uploaded sometime today. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure you go and do that. Hit the notification bell, and we'll be going over that, because I'm really curious to see how the PvP is going to work in this game.
Yeah, somehow the three of us were sitting together and also all spawned close to each other in game as well. Kind of wild, to be honest, but yeah, we got them in our little tribe. So naturally, it didn't take very long before the three of us got a little bloodthirsty and decided to go ahead and raid the stronghold up on the cliff. There actually was a decent amount of enemies in this base, but we were able to take them out without too much effort. And then I went around just stealing their blood, because you can actually use people's blood to extract water, which is obviously the main thing that you're gonna need in a desert like this. We got to the stage of the tutorial where we actually had to go ahead and do our very first cave trial, where we could basically unlock some insight, and yeah, you had to go to this altar, do just a little bump of some spice, and then get through this area without being seen by these all-seeing eyes, and they were really creepy, honestly, but yeah, we got through this. Not really too crazy. As we were heading out of the trial area, we ran into Aaron Aztec, who's also another ARC YouTuber, and yeah, he was heading on his way in, so we got him into our party as well. So we were on our way home, and unfortunately, we had to cross this massive section of desert right here, and like the guy he is, Axe decided he wants to run ahead and leave us behind like this. So yeah, we honestly could have gotten killed pretty easily, because he could have attracted the worm, and then as we were running, we could have easily gotten scooped up in its path. And in fact, you can see right there on the screen, we had a symbol and then it turns red, telling us that the worm is very, very close. And it turns out it actually peeked its head out.
Oh, wow.
A bit of a taunt that it does. Now, lucky for us, we did manage to make it all the way across and not get killed. But later on in this video, I do get killed by the sandworm, and yes, it is crazy looking. Now, if you know anything about the still suit from the Dune universe, it's essentially this kind of like bodysuit that retains your water that you expel through sweat and everything, and yeah, basically it kind of like recycles it a little bit.
So I'm just pausing it here because I wanted to just look at the stats. We see in there it's got armor value, fire mitigation, heat protection, and catch pocket size. So catch pocket, is that meaning how many water tabs we get in here? Is this like a really good armor and they're just showing it off in this video to make it so they can explore a little bit further? Fire mitigation, what do we mean by fire mitigation? We know we heat mitigation, but this has got heat protection. So how or where are we going to be getting struck by fire? But regardless, it's pretty cool, and I like how they give you an explanation of where it comes from, stuff like that, and we can see here that it's all queued up. Really good menu to navigate through and craft your items. The crafting looks good.
So this is like the perfect thing to be wearing out in the desert, and we were now at the point when we could actually go ahead and make one. And I gotta say, it looks pretty snazzy. Now you're probably wondering why I'm so hurt, and it's actually because at this stage in our little tutorial, Axe and I are trying to use the survey probe, and yeah, to use this you need to be as high as possible and not like below like something as well. So you have to be like completely sky access, and then you shoot it up into the air and it kind of just like scans the area, and what it will do is it's going to go ahead and just like unlock a massive section of the map for you. And later on in...
Right, I'm just stopping it there because we're seeing at the right border, the bottom border, but not the left border. I'm trying to kind of figure out here. Every time we see a map pop up, I'm going to try and have a look to see if we can see the actual scale of the game. With Aaron, Aztec over there, then there, if we keep an eye on this later on as it moves on, let's try and see how much of the map, if they can manage to get to the left border at least. And then we can see, well, okay, is it square or is it just a giant long rectangle? Let's see actually how big it is.
Like the deep desert kind of area, you're going to be able to scan areas, and then you're going to be able to sell them
so epic
to other players if you want to, which definitely sounds really cool. So I finally got around to properly making the guild instead of the party thing that we'd been using for a little while, and decided to name it Arc Boys and gave it a nice little description right there. And then I went ahead and just invited all of the Arc Boys that were there. We had...
Interesting that they invited a load of Arc players to their studio. Is there going to be a lot of resemblances? I mean, is Ark the biggest survival game? Probably. Probably. How many of you are actually playing Ark and that are coming over to this? Or what other survival game? Wait, what game have you coming from to play this? Are you coming from a survival genre? Are you coming from any gaming background? What gaming background have you come from, or game have you come from? Or what game are you playing right now and still are interested in this game? Is it because you're playing survival games? Is it because you just like the Doom universe? Is it because you're playing MMORPGs? I want to know what genre you're all coming from. That'd be cool.
Axe, we had Zavi, we had Aaron, we had Crow Meta, and then we also had Mr. Miola, of course. And I have to say, all of them were really, really nice in person. And to be honest, like, obviously I've known Axe for a long time. I've known Miola for a long time as well. And it was really weird getting to, like, meet them in person and getting to know them in person, because everybody's a little bit different in person. And they didn't even once comment on the fact that I was wearing a paper bag on my head the entire time, and it might have been kind of hard to hear what I was saying.
He was wearing a paper bag on his head the entire time? Wait, what? Did he really want no one to see his identity? Crazy.
So unfortunately, I'm missing about an hour and a half, I think, of gameplay, and it really sucks because it's nobody's fault but NVIDIA's. Unfortunately, the PC that I was playing on, the graphics card just completely stalled, and then the PC just froze up completely, and yeah, honestly, it really sucks, but it's literally not even the game's fault. Like, the whole PC was frozen, and there's really nothing we could have done. So yeah. Basically, at this point, Axe and I were, like, raiding this massive kind of, like, dungeon kind of area, which turned out to be a little bit creepy in certain spots, as you can see right there from the lovely little decoration. And, yeah, we basically had to go ahead and just check out this whole area, look for a bunch of pieces, and then, after this stage, we're kind of getting to the point when we can go ahead and start making ourselves some vehicles, which is when it gets very, very interesting. So after grinding out a ton of resources back at base, I finally had enough stuff to make this whole bike. So yeah, you actually kind of place all these parts on. You have like a welding torch in your hand, and yeah, you basically just kind of piece this whole thing together, and yeah, there we go. There is our bike. Unfortunately, we didn't actually have any fuel, but Axe actually managed to pick up some of that fuel inside of that little dungeon area that we raided together. So instead of
so cool,
our next step, which would have been getting to the point where we can make our own fuel, we decided to use the limited amount that he had and just ride off into the sunset together. So I'll be completely honest, even though we were having a lot of fun playing throughout the day up until this point, I feel like when we got these bikes, the gameplay and just the fun that we were having just kind of shot up to another level, because
that is so cool.
Very long to kind of get from point A to point B and then back to base and then this and that, and it's all good and everything, but when you can get to the stage when you can just drive around, and these things travel pretty fast as well, it definitely picks up the gameplay to like another level, and we had a lot of fun. In fact, we got to the point when we just decided to see if we could mess with some of the guys, so we decided to drive all the way over to Aaron. I really do feel like they nailed the actual vehicle feel when you're driving these things. I think the only thing that they could do to possibly improve this experience a little bit more would be give you like a first-person view when you're on the back of these things, or in an ornithopter, as you'll see later on. Like a first-person view would be amazing, but
yeah.
Either way though, they handle really well and they're quite fun to use.
I can't wait.
Yes, you can actually run over enemies with them, and of course I would try that. So eventually we made it all the way over to Aaron's base, and his base was a lot bigger than ours, which made us feel a little bad. We didn't really put a whole lot of effort into building our little spots, but yeah, I kind of regret doing that now. I definitely regret not putting a little bit more time into actually building something bigger, although we didn't really claim a great area to build in, so that's why I really haven't shown you
oh wow
build, because it's just a bunch of foundations and ceilings, just
proper garage door.
Get to those next little tutorial missions. So it's at this point we realize there's an amazing feature with these vehicles, and it's the fact that when you drive into somebody, because it's PvE, they don't get run over. Instead, they kind of like get propped up on top of your vehicle like that. So that is Axe driving Aaron really, really far away from his base. And the funny part is that Aaron was actually AFK off doing like a dev interview thing. And yeah, he came back and
they kidnapped him
far away from his base. It was just a really funny moment that unfortunately I don't have audio of, but you'll have to take my word for it. I actually tried to follow them, but instead ran into what I called the space police. I genuinely cannot remember the name of these guys right here, but yeah, they basically fly these vehicles throughout the sky and just like have these massive spotlights like that. And if you get into the spotlight, it's almost as if they're abducting you. So yeah, it was a very tense moment for me. And as you can see right here, I get into the spotlight and yeah, weird stuff happens, but I think eventually I did manage to break free of it somehow. Yeah, I didn't really know what was gonna happen, and then I think they actually sent down some troops at me as well. But yeah, I think I'm being shot at by...
Wait, what?
There, from that base, but then there's also some guys off to my right-hand side, which were spawned down from that ship. So yeah, they were really trying to get me, and I was really trying to get away, and it was very...
Dune must be so happy with the result of this. Like when we go to look at the movies, and when you see them parts in the movies, you think, God damn, wouldn't that be flipping cool to actually try it out for yourself? This looks really good. And guys, we're seeing by the title of this video, a new survival game is almost here. They went to the actual studios. It does say it's going to be releasing early 2025 on PC, granted, and you can wish list it currently on Steam. So make sure you go and do that. I'll make sure I leave the link in the description. When do you think this is going to drop? Someone in the comments previously said April. April does sound like a good time for it to drop. But I don't know. As soon as it drops, I'm getting on it and you're going to see the videos.
Very spooky. It was also around this time that we had a bunch of the developers just kind of in the room, and they just started walking over to like me and Axe and just seeing the ridiculous stuff that we were doing, just, you know, shaking their heads, but also just being really amused by the fun that we found through just doing random things here. But yeah, I think the fact that we were picking people up and moving them definitely became like the talk of the room at that stage, and I think everybody tried to do it as well, which was pretty funny. So after a couple minutes, I actually found somebody in their base, and I decided to do the exact same thing that Axe was doing, and I decided to go ahead and kidnap them. I did get them out the door, but I think I accidentally dropped them at one.
Wait, what's going on with him? Before anything, I don't know what's going on here. Why has he got this kind of glow around him and this really weird like noise crackling in his ear?
And luckily they didn't die or anything because they're not super high up. But I did manage to get them back onto my bike after a second. And I was trying to do all this before they even noticed that I had taken them, because I do believe that they were crafting at the stage when I did pick them up. So it was around this moment that the dude actually realized that somebody had grabbed him, and
Is that the sandworm?
I just basically saw him over to my right. He was like a couple people down, and he was just laughing about the fact that I did that. And he was telling me how he was crafting. He didn't even notice, and it was a bit of a funny moment. And then he was about to get up, and I was like, "Oh, here, hang on, let me put you back in your base." And he's like, "No, it's okay." And I'm like, "No, I insist." And so I basically run him over again to move him back up to his base. The funny part comes after this, though, because it also includes a story that I was told later on about this guy, because I didn't even know who he was. we'll get to that. But so yeah, as you can see right here, I'm basically like putting him back. But at the same point, this guy had gotten up away from his PC, and I thought he was either going to the toilet or to get a drink or...
Hey there, you're listening to State of Survival Radio. Calling all survivors who can hear this.
A dev interview or something. The thing that I realized later on is that this guy never came back. And so after a little while, Axe and I were talking, and I thought, like, we both kind of thought, like, did I, like, upset him or something? Like, because this guy didn't come back at all, okay? And his, like, character later on had, like, died, and he was, like, on the respawn screen in that area right there. So he didn't even come back into the room and touch his PC. Later on, I was asked, do I even know who that was? And I was like, no. And then I was told that this guy was from Tencent, which is...
Hopefully you did not upset him. Oh dear.
I do believe it's one of the biggest gaming companies in China. I do believe it's like mostly like mobile gaming, but that's a little bit concerning. So basically, I kind of almost like, I guess, kidnapped a Chinese national, sort of, anyway. And then I was like, oh my God, like I didn't realize, like, I hope I didn't upset him. And then I was like, oh, he never like came back or anything. And then the developers I was talking to, they were like, oh no, he left the country. And I was like, oh, wow, I really upset him. Obviously, it was a bit of a joke, you know. He didn't leave because of me, hopefully. No, he definitely didn't. But I don't know, it's just such a funny moment. So yeah, I don't know. I was messing with somebody. I didn't even realize who they were. They were like way more important than I am. So yeah, kind of crazy. But yeah, so I don't know, man. Like, there's so many people there. It was
That's wild, right? So the guy from Tencent went over there, played the game, didn't play the full experience and left. You'd want to play the full experience to learn it, unless they can just play it as much as they want.
Really fun to like just mess with people, but you know, you can't really know how people are gonna take it. Luckily, he took it well though, so yeah, we're all good in that respect. I'm not gonna get banned from gaming in China, I guess. Another amazing shot of the worm, and
wow,
there, like I said, these things were just all over the place, and it's really crazy when they pop out of the ground like that. So I saw this really tall dune, and I decided to go ahead and basically just drive up to the very top of it to see if I could fly off the other side. Little did I...
Let me pause just there, guys. We can see along the edge of the map here where my mouse is running, this is a shield wall, so this is actually the edge of the map. But I don't know if before you hit the edge of the map, you get to some sort of quicksand.
I know, this actually is the border of the map. I didn't even realize I was driving into the border of the map, and then this is what happens when you do that. I don't know if I would have potentially made it out if I had have like backed up instead of trying to turn around, but as you can see right here, it just really didn't work out very well for me, and I actually lost my bike there as well, which is quite unfortunate. Luckily, Axe was nice enough to drive me all the way over to where I died, and I did actually manage to get my stuff back in the end. But you can see right there on the map, that is where I died. I died like basically on the border of the whole map. So then I had to spend a little while actually grinding out all the materials again to make another bike, and then we also decided to get into trying to make up some fuel for them as well. The next step in our tutorial actually called for us to travel north into the desert and basically kind of enter the next area. And yeah, so we made that journey. Really didn't take too long. Honestly, these sand bikes are amazing. Like, you get around so much faster. If you walked that, you'd be doing that walk for a good long time, and then crossing like little kind of sections of the desert as well is dangerous in its own respect. And yeah, I have to say, nighttime in this game is beautiful.
I was actually going to say that just then. What do we think looks better, nighttime or daytime? That moon. The nighttime to me actually looks way better than the daytime.
Not like overly dark, but it's like dark enough, and then you have that beautiful big moon right there just lighting up the whole place. And yeah, it's a really nice atmosphere, honestly. Kind of bums me out sometimes when survival games come out and, you know, the nighttime is just pitch black, like you can't see anything. Like, why create something where, you know, nighttime is just like so dark that it's kind of pointless to even do anything at night? I never really understood that myself. So even though we'd kind of made it up to this new area, I completely forgot to bring myself a survey probe, which is definitely something that you're gonna want to do when you're going out and exploring new areas. So I had to drive all the way home to try and get one. Now, look,
It's a shame.
I had a good idea of where I could potentially go ahead and use one. Right in front of me, there's like this big kind of like base type thing. It almost kind of looked like a big refinery or something. And I decided to go ahead and see if we could climb to the very top and maybe use it from up at the top there. You don't actually have to use the survey probe at the highest possible point in this area, but you do have to use it from a decent height. And yeah, obviously sky axis as well is very important. Now,
The bikes look like they work so flipping well. The good thing about the bikes, we've seen that he's made multiple, meaning it's not too hard to get a bike or to get a vehicle at least. Now, do we think it's been boosted, made easier for those creators that went there because they're on limited time? Maybe the drop rate is higher, but we have seen 2 bikes made in this and they do look absolutely incredible.
one thing I will say is that I really did not know what I was getting myself into here. You know, there's a lot of enemies in here, and yeah, they were very mean, so I quickly died, and then I had to respawn on my bike, and I had to come back up here and try and see if I could grab my stuff. When you do die, you don't lose absolutely everything that you own, but you lose quite a lot of stuff, and yeah, you can see my death cache thingy is right there.
Oh wow, you actually lose stuff.
Guys are like much higher tier than I was, and I really didn't think I could actually get to my stuff at all. But then at this stage, we actually had some of the devs come in and basically ask the golden question of, do you guys want some ornithopters? So we were kind of getting down to like the last maybe like 40-ish minutes of the actual the presentation, like the gameplay and everything, the playtest. But yeah, at this stage, you know, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I want to try that. And a lot of people obviously wanted one as well. I think mostly everybody in the room actually got themselves an ornithopter.
Why would you not want an ornithopter?
We had like this little encounter where one of the enemies was down at the bottom, and your man was trying to actually give me an ornithopter, but then he actually had to deal with that guy. We got to see somebody who actually knows what they're doing with the combat fighting with the combat, so that was pretty interesting. In the Dune universe, a lot of these enemies actually have these shields, and you have to kill them in a very specific way, because like your guns don't really work to take down those shields perfectly. You actually have to usually kill them with a slow blade through the shield. So I can't show you any of the admin stuff, but what I can show you is my lovely new ornithopter, and here is my maiden voyage. We had so much fun using these things. So obviously I've seen the movies. Like, I know there's like this, you know, a couple scenes where, you know, they're flying up high and then they kind of like dive down. So that's that vulture control over there.
Just a quick thing as well I'd like to point out, you know, we're seeing them in ornithopters. There's been many screenshots and everything leaked from this game, and there is many of land vehicles and many of air vehicles been shown in the game. Whether we can use all of them is a different story, but if we can use these, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to use all of the other vehicles that are going to be available. Sorry for hitting you in the face, just hit the microphone.
It's shift, and yeah, you can actually use that to just basically dive down. Now, in a couple minutes, we'll figure out that you can use that to do a lot of really fun things in the air.
Can you land on top of the mountain?
To say, like, just using these things were really cool. Like, just getting to actually, like, see the world from up here as well was amazing just in itself. But yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed when we actually got to playtest with these things. There was one...
Okay, he's a max altitude. No, he's not.
When I really thought we were going to be able to pilot one of these guys, but it didn't really happen. But yeah, it's definitely really nice and very rewarding to get to check out one of these things eventually. I don't really know how deep into the actual game the ornithopter is, but this one that I'm actually flying in right now is the smallest version. There are a couple other versions. There's a kind of like a larger version, which we actually get later. I think I was the only person in the room to actually get one as well, which was amazing. And then, yeah, there's also another version that can kind of like lift up the big harvester things that go out and get the spice and everything. So yeah, there's actually 2 more ornithopters that I know of anyway that you can get in the game. And of course,
that's awesome.
You can see right here, we're doing a little bit of gliding using that vulture mode. So
gliding's cool.
Here in a couple minutes, and you'll also see a ton of other people appear in the sky with their ornithopters. There were like, I think 30 people in the room when we were doing this, and it was all like creators and I think 2 press people. People like IGN and everything, they were in the day before, and I think that they all got to check out the game on that day. But yeah,
wow.
Here I'm almost figuring out that I can do a bit of a barrel roll and then Just wait and see. I actually managed to do it here in a minute. But yeah, so basically there was like around 30 people in the room, and I think we were spread out across like 2 servers apparently. But it seemed like a lot of the people that I knew were actually in the same server as me. But yeah, it was really cool to just like see everybody floating through the sky. And here we go.
Oh, wow.
Barrel roll, and then our very first double barrel roll. And then I believe a triple barrel roll. Yeah, that's our very first.
And can you fly upside down?
Yeah. At that stage, like, everybody was like, oh my god, you could do that? And like, you know, everybody just started having such ridiculous fun. Off in the distance there, I think that might be... Was that spice? I don't exactly know. I think I tried to see what it was, but yeah, no, we can't.
Look at the size of it, man.
Really weird happens here. I managed to take my hands completely off the keyboard, and then I accidentally put my hands back on. Probably not in the same positions. Also, you can see right there, I didn't take any fall damage. That's actually through one of the skills that I unlocked. So yeah, I basically...
Oh, that's cool.
And there's sandworms around, and I knew I couldn't get back to it, and yeah, here we go. It's gonna play out. So yeah, I think because it's not like my normal keyboard, it felt weird using that one. And my keyboard, I know just by feeling that it's WASD, but I think I put my hands down on E.
Can they pick him up?
D, F. So yeah, it's...
He's dead.
Yeah, I basically managed to, instead of going forward, jump out of my ornithopter. But luckily, you can actually go ahead and respawn on them as well. I did lose all my stuff here, but we were getting towards the end that it didn't really matter a huge amount to me. But yeah, so you can see right here, I did respawn on it, and yeah, let's do a little bit more flying. But yeah, getting actually killed by the sandworm was pretty cool.
You didn't look at it though.
Really, really awesome. Look at that dude right there.
Wow, just so epic.
Land on each other here as well.
I have seen videos as well, or images, sorry, screenshots on their website on the media section on the Funcom Dune website, where these do fire missiles, so they have got some variations where these can actually attack other people. Pretty cool to note.
Well, we were really trying to do some weird stuff, just trying to see if we could like push the boundaries of this game, and yeah, it gets even sillier later. Just you wait. Right around here is when I decided to try and see if I could manage to do a front flip, and it mostly worked, but you didn't really seem to be able to complete any of them. I don't know.
It worked.
It was just something with the vehicles where they couldn't perfectly do the front flip. I tried many times with like extra speed and everything, and I think it kind of breaks the physics of them just a little bit. I don't know if they expected people to be able to do this stuff, so it's kind of hard to tell if they're supposed to do that. But maybe they'll kind of like take a little bit of like what they learned from us playing, and maybe try to incorporate some of that into the game as well. But yeah, definitely was super fun.
What are you going to try and do in an ornithopter?
One thing that they don't have in the game, I don't believe anyway, is weapons. So you can't just take an ornithopter and then just like fly in and shoot missiles at a bunch of like low tier players or something like that. So yeah, that I think that's a little disappointing, but I understand it for balance, because having something like this where you're kind of untouchable is a little bit broken. So yeah.
How are you untouchable?
For the best. I will say, one thing through making this video that I'm a little bit disappointed about is the fact that I did lose a bunch of footage, because through that whole like hour and a half that I had, you know, that clip going, and then we lost it, we actually learned a lot about the combat. So I'll explain just a little bit through some ridiculous looking ornithopter flying here. But yeah, so in the game, there's basically like kind of 2 versions of combat. So there's, you know, range combat, which is obviously guns, and then there's melee combat. And in a lot of situations, you're gonna mostly have to resort to using your melee combat, because there's so many enemies that just have these shields on, and they're just gonna be able to charge you. And if you have a gun, you're not really gonna be able to shut down that shield perfectly anyway. There are specific types of bullets that actually go through, or not, they're not really bullets, they're darts. They go through the shields, but they can also fail on everything. So yeah, for the most part, I definitely found like I was resorting to combat when the enemies ran in at me. But also, if you have a shield, which is something that we unfortunately didn't get throughout our whole playthrough, so it's probably a little bit further along. But when you actually do manage to get yourself a shield, when you're using your guns, your shield drops. So you can't use guns and be perfectly safe with your shield. So in all,
I'm definitely intrigued though, guys, because like looking at this, or what he's saying is, basically you in PvP, shooting people is not going to be that effective, but using your blade is. Why wouldn't they make it so you can use both? Now you do shoot darts. There's obviously going to be some sort of balance. Surely there's enough people doing PvP right now to figure it out. How do you see this world being balanced in PvP? Because I do think gunplay should be quite a fun aspect. And if they can't master that, then it's going to be a bit...
Well, honestly, I really enjoyed the combat, but I feel like for the most part, unless you have really good cover, you're probably best off just running in and trying to take them out with a blade or something like that. And I actually managed to get a really cool blade that also, when I stab somebody and hurt them and everything like that, I also managed to collect up some of their blood as well. So there's like different types of blades that do all that kind of stuff as well. And I really wish I didn't lose that hour of footage, because I would have been able to show you all this stuff. So you're just gonna have to take my word for it, because that throughout that whole hour, that is the most amount of combat that we did. But yeah, it's a little unfortunate that I lost it. So I did say you can't actually have weapons on these things, but I was kind of curious to whether or not the actual ornithopter was a weapon. So yeah, I tried this. I needed to know. I needed to know if I could actually kill
Good shout.
things, and I do get a kill here eventually.
So he's saying that you don't get weapons on the ornithopter, but we've definitely seen in screenshots ornithopters firing missiles. Or is that the other type of flying ships? Interesting.
And I did confirm afterwards that you can do this, because I wasn't sure if I got a kill. I think some XP popped up on the screen, and yeah, I just wanted to be 100% certain. It's not that easy to get the kills, but you know, it's definitely possible. When the hell did I even get it? I don't even remember. Hey, there we go. We just got it right there. So yeah,
You can get kills.
I think at that stage I was like, okay, I don't want to lose my ornithopter and not have any of this fun that everybody's having. But yeah, so we did manage to get ourselves a kill, confirmed the fact that you could actually do that as well, which is great. And yeah, so I don't know if you could actually do that to players. Definitely only in the PvP kind of areas, but
How beautiful this world is.
pretty cool to actually do that. So Axe's ornithopter actually ran out of juice, and so I decided to pick him up. And yeah, you can actually fly with people on the top of them, which is pretty cool. You can't really do like any like barrel rolls or front flips or anything with them, because they will fall off. But
He's just killed him.
pretty cool to be able to actually just fly around with him on the very top of it like that. We were having so much fun testing some of this stuff, and this is definitely something that we needed to know. And yeah, I basically kind of turned him into like the flashlight. He's just like vibrating at like such a high frequency right there. It's crazy, but he didn't stay on the ornithopter, unfortunately. And we're almost out of fuel here as well. So after my ornithopter...
With Betfair, you can get a completely free bet every weekend until Cheltenham.
There's a lot of adverts.
ornithopter ran out of fuel, I got a little cheeky and I realized that I could open up the admin console thing, which I don't think I'm allowed to show you. And then somebody caught me over my shoulder and then decided to just spawn me in a bunch of things. So we have so much stuff right here. A new ornithopter.
Oh, wow.
Which is this big one that
If you look, it's got 3 wings.
flying. And we've got one of those harvesters right there. Unfortunately, this ornithopter is not the one that can pick up the harvester, but yeah, I kind of got logged out of admin mode after that, so I wasn't allowed to have any more fun with that. But it's all good, you know. I understand.
That's definitely got missiles on it. I don't care what they say. That's definitely got it.
Okay, they don't want me to. They don't want anybody to be able to see any of that stuff, and yeah. So anyway, this new ornithopter obviously is a lot bigger than the previous one. Still kind of handles the exact same as well. You can do all the same kind of stuff with it. It is just significantly bigger, and this kind of comes back to what I was saying earlier on. You know, the fact that you're able to fly in these things is great, but if you were actually able to do, like, you know, first-person mode through the cockpit, that would have been so much better. Like, as well, you know, in addition to this kind of view right here, it just would have been very immersive.
What's your thoughts on the third person, first person? I personally think it would be really nice, really immersive, having the first person on your ornithopters, your bikes and everything like that. It would give it a real nice feel. But I'm still not really that bothered with having third person. I'm completely fine having just third person. But yeah, again, do you think it would make it more immersive?
Right now, we're actually about to get hit by a sandstorm. And this also happened around the same time that Axe is, like, desperately asking me to go and pick him up from this area that I was, like, somewhere close to him, but I could not see him at all. And then I think we get, like, pelted by the sandstorm just as we tried to pass this thing. and just wait and see what this actually does. So everything, like, I'm blind to absolutely everything. I'm getting shoved around as well. Like, I'm not flying, like,
wait, what?
right there, I don't believe. I'm just getting shoved all over the place, and yeah, like, look at this. Look, I get absolutely swung into the side. Yeah, it's not a good time. So if you see a sandstorm coming and you've got an ornithopter, you need to just land that thing and just kind of like wait out the sandstorm. You're not going to get anything done at that point. And yeah, I definitely think this is really cool. Like, it's just so ridiculous. You can also see it on...
Oh, that's cool that you see the sandstorm on the map, so you can kind of avoid it or know when it's coming.
Crazy moment when that came in. Like, I knew it was coming, but I don't know. I didn't expect it to be that rough for me, but it does pass over fairly fast though, which is great. So with this silly footage of me trying to land an ornithopter on top of the bigger ornithopter, I think we'll end off.
Look at the size of the difference between one and the other. This is minute compared to that one underneath. Jesus, and that's not even the biggest one.
It's like, I don't really know how well this video is going to turn out. Like, there's a lot of things that we did, but trying to translate that into, like, you know, watchable, good content when it's not like a live kind of reaction from me it's a little weird to me. It would be like me voicing over all my videos, but especially when it comes to a game that I've never played before, it's especially difficult. So yeah, I don't know, hopefully this video turned out well anyway. We had a lot of fun playing it, and you know, there's a lot of avenues of like things of the actual content that we didn't even show you in this video, like the building, and then obviously there's the skill tree, and I mean, you can see some of that stuff on the screen right there, but I know we didn't really dive
Wait, what's that ship?
much into
That wasn't the ornithopter there on the right, was it?
like the building.
That was definitely not an ornithopter.
I mean,
that on the right, or is it? It's just parked on a rock. It looks different. The wings, the way the wing placement is. What's this?
some of that stuff on the screen right there, but I know we didn't really dive too much into that, and a lot of that relates to the lost hour and a half that I had of footage, but again, it's not even their fault, you know, it's fine, I don't blame them at all, but yeah, it's probably my fault for not stopping and starting recordings a little bit more often, because they did warn us that that could possibly happen, and I still left it a little while, but yeah, I will say the game's quite fun, and I think that you should wish list it on Steam, and wherever else you play games, I guess. And yeah, I don't know. It's definitely fun. I would recommend checking it out.
So yeah, guys, because the music's about to play, I'm going to turn it off. We can see that the creator here is Syntac. I've made sure I subscribed and given it a like. If you could do so as well, it'd be much appreciated if you enjoyed the video. And if you want more Dune content or any other content that I'm bringing out, make sure you hit that bell notification or just subscribe to my channel, and you should get recommended it on your channel. And if you don't mind as well, leaving me a like. So without that, or with that, the wish list, everything's in the description. Join the Discord. See you in the next one. Peace.